So we're here with Sabrina Wong, and we did a interview earlier where she's talking about Caymanians living abroad, but this one is going to be a little different. So in this time when we have the conversation, we're going to be talking about different ideas on how Cayman, or what Cayman should consider when we move forward living with COVID around us. So Sabrina, one of the things you and I were talking about is working from home. I mean, that's one of the things that you've been doing for quite some time, where you are over in the UK. Let's talk about that for a bit.
I've been working from home from the first lockdown, so means I can basically get up at a later time. While I'm here working, I can maybe put a load of washing a load of laundry into the washer. I can cook my dinner, have more time for me. So it creates for me, better work-life balance because I'm getting what I need to get done and find it is less interruptions because you're in the office, you may have someone come over and want to have a quick chat with you. But when you're home, did actually pick up the phone and call you or have a Zoom meeting with you, something of that sort. I think the pros and cons of working from home is that, well, for me, the bonus is you're not polluting the air by driving to work. And thinking of Cayman as a small country, I've had friends that say to me they've taken about 2.5 hours to get from not even the end of the island, the middle of the island, to Georgetown. That should never be. There's something has to be done with infrastructure to correct that measure. But then look at what COVID posed on us, where we're actually in lockdown and companies did have to continue operating. Employers allowed employees to work from home. I think that should still be an option. I think people should be still given that option because one, it would alleviate the traffic problem, the congestion problem that Cayman is facing. And it would also have an impact on the environment. Yeah. For me, that's a win-win.
One of the things too, and it was another thing we had mentioned was, even if not completely work from home, at least staggering hours.
Yeah, staggering hours. So so why can't someone start working from 7 a.m. Versus starting at 8 or 8:30? Or why can't someone start working at 10 versus 8:30? Why does it have to be 8:30? Why does it have to be 9? Why does it always have to be mandatory? I know each company have different SLAs in place, different measures in place, different business objectives, but there has to be some flexibility.
And one of the mitigation, one of the ways to stop the spread of COVID when COVID does come to Cayman would be you want to avoid people being indoors in large amount of people. So if we have people staggered working from home, and you're not filling the offices like they used to be, that really is a benefit because you have less people coming in contact with potential positive cases. Yeah. And again, you're taking someone off the street, so you're alleviating some of that traffic congestion, and individuals get to save some more money because they don't have to pay as much now, a very expensive gas. So, I mean, there's a lot of different ways you could look at it where it's beneficial. I know there's a lot of data that's out there that actually shows that from working from home actually increases your work
productivity.
Exactly. I know the few times that I had to quarantine and work from home, in addition to all those saving money and all that sort of stuff in my travel, I also got a lot more work done. And it's not like employers can't track your productivity because they are able to certainly see that. There's in fact certain tools that really assist in tracking the type of stuff that's going on, how long your computer's been logged in for, this, that, and the other. So, I mean, there's a lot of benefits with that, whether it's government or private sector. Yes, there's certain jobs and businesses that just, you have to be in the office. That's a given.
Yeah, you do have to be in office, but then there's also those jobs that I do believe that, as we saw with COVID-19, was able to be exercised from home. So I think that would definitely help Cayman. I think it would also bring down stress levels as well, because a lot of people have road rage before they even get into office, so they're already in a bad mood. If you don't have to deal with that. Now, early on, I said there's pros and cons. So one of the cons for Cayman is we all know the electricity bill is extremely high. So, probably could think about what measures could be put in place for those employees who would like to work from home. It doesn't have to be all week, not, maybe not 5 days of working from home. It could be 2 days or 3 days from home, and it would then also create a greater work-life balance for the employee, and then greater productivity for the company. So employers would be happy with the productivity.
Absolutely. So much more benefits that could come out of it, and companies really just need to really think of different ways. You and I were also talking about parents also, or grandparents, because a lot of grandparents might be raising some of their grandchildren. But you and I had a similar experience. We both kind of grew up in East End. At least I was half my life in East End, half my life in Sparks Newlands. But you're in East End. I felt like East End, like me. I'm from Gun Bay originally. And so, over the summers and times when we were home, let's talk about some of our experiences.
So home summertime, my grandmother would say, you complain, it's hot. She load everybody up and you gone out across the bay for a swim. You got back home, you take your bath or you shower, and you should prepare a bedding for you by on the veranda, your front door, and you lay down there and sleep. You had one rotating fan, and you'd complain about the heat, and just if you stop talking, then you won't be hot. Be quiet. So
true.
Yeah, so stop talking, you won't be hot, and you enjoy that. And those good times. When I reflect back on those times, like, wow, like we don't have that anymore, because that brought unity amongst families, because that was a time when all cousins got together as well.
Yeah.
So everybody was together and you had a good time.
Yeah, I mean, for half my life, we never had, when I lived in Gun Bay, we really didn't have any AC at all. Now I don't know how I lived without it, but we didn't have an AC. Eventually, my parents decided to buy a little wall unit, one of those little small things. And then we got spoiled when we moved to spots where we had central air. But again, we didn't run it all the time. And part of that is because, man, that light bill is nothing to play with. That's a mortgage payment.
Yeah, it's extremely high. So again, it's being creative and looking at ways of being innovative and seeing what can be done, what measures can be put in place, to encourage, because you do want the overall population to be happy. You want to look at people's well-being as well. What we can do, it doesn't mean going back to basics. Our forefathers had very little to survive on, but they did it, and they did it courageously. So what measures can be put in place? How can we move forward? But move forward being efficient and effective. Not leaving. Try to minimize your green footprint. Like, think of tomorrow. Think of the generation tomorrow. What are we leaving behind for them?
Yeah. I was telling you, one of the things my dad used to do when he used to work at the Department of Education there in Cayman, he had a lot of times he had to go to the credit union to carry out business and stuff. And instead of driving, it's close enough, he would walk there. And when my mom worked at Royal Bank, again, both of my parents are retired now, but when my mom worked at Royal Bank downtown, again, he would walk there, and I used to make fun of him because I'm like, Dad, you all dressed up in shirt and tie. Why aren't you just driving this much faster? But one, he said, well, believe it or not, traffic, he could walk faster because of the traffic, and two, he's getting his steps and exercise, which, us Caymanians, we're not that healthy a lot of times.
No. So that was one of the big culture shocks for me when I first moved here. So I could drive into the office, but it would mean that so in Cayman, you're accustomed to parking like maybe a 2-minute walk from your office door. But here you're going to actually park about 30 minutes. So when you look at that and say, okay, it's probably quicker if I hop on the train, because there's a cost with parking. Whereas in Cayman, there's basically free parking most places. Over here, it's paid parking, and oftentimes the rates are pretty high because they want to discourage people from driving into the city. So you hop on the train, but you still have that walk. So I was like, oh, man, I can't bear this. And throughout the season, so during the summer isn't so bad, but during the winter is definitely horrible. Yeah.
Yeah, and Cayman would be probably the opposite. Summer is going to be bad because it's so hot.
Yeah,
Winter time, around December, January, February might be a little
it'd be
bit more
good.
comfortable.
Yeah,
But man, yeah, it was just it's so amazing to think about different parts of the world, different perspectives. When you move away, you just learn so many different things. Because
yeah.
when we were growing up, we would have never really thought about some of these things. And it wasn't
No,
until we got some of this international exposure where we kind of view things differently. And I'm really thankful for the experience that I have gotten here, moving abroad. You again, somewhere else, another part of the pond, really.
yeah,
Again, have other different experiences. It's so funny because I do think about, when you go to the grocery store or something, and you have some people that will circle for half an hour just to get a close parking spot instead of taking one that might have required just a little bit more of a walk. I mean, we could again live a little bit healthier by just taking that extra walk, because we sit down in many of our jobs all day long looking at a
yeah,
computer screen and not really getting in those steps. Until I got my Apple Watch, I didn't realize how inactive I personally was. I was not getting enough, steps in. And so now I'm glad this thing dings at times and tells me I need to move my body a little bit, so I could again stay a little bit healthier. And so if I want to live a good long life being healthy, there are certain things I just need to do in order to help that out.
yeah. Because what I think what happened, Kevin, is that it pauses you to think, um, to think outside the box, coming away from Cayman, and getting the exposure, the experience. It pauses you to think differently, and sometimes people don't find that. Well, sometimes people back home don't find that relatable, and it's because they haven't had that experience. But yeah, we parked up. I went out today, and I was just like, okay, this is the closest parking I get, and I'm gonna take it. Never mind that it's gonna be like, a 15-minute walk to where I'm going. I'm happy to do that. I'm happy to walk that distance. Whereas before, I would definitely circle around and round and round and round and round, and even park and wait for someone to pull out. But now, okay, I need to get done when I get done. Me sitting there doing that, it's going to waste time. So let me just get off and get what I have to get done, and get back home.
Absolutely. Well, Sabrina, once again, thank you for taking the time to talk with me, and we'll leave it at that.
You're welcome. Thank you, Kevin, for talking to me as well. Thank you.